Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett and thank you for spending some time with me today because we are talking about what I see as being some of the biggest trends of 2026, where I think design is headed. Everybody's making these videos right now, but you all know, if you've been here for a while, that I always know what's on the rise. And before we get into the video, I'd appreciate if you took a moment and hit the subscribe button and gave this video a like to help this video get shared across the platform so everybody knows what's the tea for 2026. Now, the first trend, one of the biggest things we have to talk about, we always start these videos with architectural styles and what I see on the rise and happening. I see people doing homes, like I'm following quite a few people who are doing new builds of homes that are either in the colonial style or in Tudor styles. And that doesn't mean it has to be ultra traditional closed concept, right? Nobody is saying the open concept home is going anywhere. Like, I'm literally working with a whole bunch of clients right now who have open concept homes, who are buying new open concept homes. So whatever works for you floor plan wise, that's up to you. But I see a resurgence of more traditional architectural styles. And then what you do on the interior of those is a little bit of a mix of something traditional, something modern, because of some of the trending styles we have going on right now. Those trending styles are going to be like the Nancy Meyers style, like Ralph Lauren inspired interiors. Those interior styles are just very comfortable, they're very accessible because of where things are right now in terms of basically consumerism. A lot of people are just tired of buying a lot of new, so they're thrifting and they're upcycling and they're looking to have furniture reupholstered rather than buy everything new, which I think is great, but a lot of that leans more traditional. So you see that influence happening, not to say that modern homes are out or going away, because they're not, but we are going to see more people either buying and renovating older homes that are in these colonial Georgian Tudor styles, or you're going to see a lot of people who are new building homes that have more of a classic influence, because people are turning away from some of the more viral and fast moving trends into something that's a little bit more timeless. Another trend you are going to see on the rise in 2026 that I see when I'm looking at what's new and what's happening is actually going to be some Spanish references to accessories. And basically I mean wrought iron. People love wrought iron. It's a great material. It's beautiful. And it also has a reference to the Tudor design. Like a lot of Tudor homes you see in the Midwest, for example, will have iron details in them. You know, like you'll have iron details, like accents on a front door, around a window. Maybe it has an iron handrail system on a staircase. Those sorts of details lean a little bit Spanish because of the material, but you're going to see more candelabras, candlesticks in this material. You might also see sconces with some of these wrought iron details, curved little moments on them. That all feels a little bit Spanish to me. So incorporating a little bit of that in is interesting. And so we've always liked a Spanish reference in homes, right? You look at like a Tuscan and Mediterranean design, right? There's also always a little bit of Spanish detail in those. And we've been loving arches for a little while. I personally haven't been maybe the biggest arch fan because I don't like the like clean, simple like arch doorway. It's not my favorite thing. I would much rather see an eyebrow arch because that's a little more timeless to me. But a lot of the designers online love to be like, eyebrow arches are out, when they've literally been around for centuries. So like, okay. But I love an eyebrow arch that can have a little bit more of that colonial reference, a little bit more of a Tudor reference. You're also going to see a Spanish reference in as far as wall textures go. I see a return of the knockdown wall texture, which kind of looks like it's troweled on, coming in our future because people like Venetian plaster but can't necessarily get that into the budget. They like Roman clay. They like those sorts of wall textures where knockdown is very similar to that. So look out for some of those details in your space because Spanish design is great. It has a casual air about it that feels accessible and approachable and actually livable. Now, if you are decorating your house, you're designing it, you're trying to come up with the answers, whether it's a renovation, a new build, or just a small makeover, I've got the answers for you. Be sure you book a one-on-one virtual consultation with me where you can show me around your home and I can answer some of those difficult questions for you. Be sure you book that using the link in the description box down below, or type into your little browser intro.co/GarrettLeChic. And if you're lucky, Arden might pop in to say hello, won't you? Or maybe not. Okay, you can go lay down there. That's cute. When it comes to interior trends, people always want to know what's happening in kitchens, and the top kitchen trend of 2026 is going to remain quartzite. And people just like quartzite. You get sort of the look and the feel of marble in terms of the veining. Like there's a lot of veining and not so much speckling. Speckling is more of a granite thing, as where veining is more of a marble thing. You get the best of both worlds because quartzite is more durable than marble, but it has a better like veining pattern on it than granite does. With that said, I am currently working with clients who are doing marble, who are doing granite, and who are doing quartz. So none of those are going anywhere. And if you have them, don't think you need to rip it out. Figure out what color scheme is going to work best with that material. Maybe it enhances it, and that kind of gets you to the place where it feels a little bit better. And I'm talking about granite. Like marble isn't so much a problem, neither is the quartz, but a lot of people think granite is dated. I don't agree. I think granite is great, and there are some variations of it that are really wonderful, and my clients still want that in their homes. But quartzite is going to kind of be like the king of countertops. I think we're also getting away from the slab backsplash a little bit. Not that that makes me happy because I love a slab backsplash, but I think a lot of people are over the whole like marble veining and everything, and it being like so, you know, like kind of a lot, that they're like, hey, I would rather do tile. I always recommend that you work within the color scheme of the countertop and bring that onto the backsplash so it just has a lot of flow there. It's not like an accent backsplash that could feel dated very quickly. Now that we talked about kitchens, let's talk about the design trends I'm seeing in 2026 for bathrooms. And I'm also gonna lump in utility rooms as a part of this, because one of the biggest trends I think we are going to see in these spaces are going to be unique shaped tiles and tile patterns. We're kind of done with like a basic square tile, or, you know, like a big 12 by 24 tile. Like, okay, fine, you know, it's simple. Like, do it in a brick pattern. Like, there's not much there to it. I'm seeing people do interesting patterns with, you know, almost like subway size tiles. They're, you know, maybe doing a grid, almost like a parquet style grid, which is interesting to me. And one of the things I saw recently that I really loved was a star shaped tile. And I thought that's really cool. That's where you're going to see people going into the future, like interesting patterns on tiles, interesting shaped tiles to make up these spaces. Instead of it being like, oh, it has to be the most high-end, ultra luxury marble floor, it's now going to be more interesting patterns in those floors, which I think is cool. Whether you're doing a natural stone or not, look for a tile with an interesting shape or an interesting pattern to do something unique with in your space to add some real personality to it, but maybe you do that in a slightly more neutral way. Let's talk about hardware. Hardware is always a big deal in interior design, right? Like the hardware is the jewelry of the space, and I love a good piece of jewelry. So, hardware for 2026, what I am seeing is that the unlacquered brass trend, I think people are starting to realize what I said about it the whole time, that like, I'm not spending the rest of my life polishing metal. So everybody is moving towards these finishes on metal that are not going to change. And I like that. So the number one thing I am seeing, and you would know this if you were here for a while, that I'm not gonna be all over the place like polishing all sorts of metal in my home. Just, it would never happen. If you're a subscriber, you know it. And if you're not a subscriber, now you know, and you can rectify that mistake. But the number one trend in hardware I am seeing right now is aged brass, a faux finished aged brass. And by a faux finish, I mean the brass, it's like brass, okay? The brass is like brass. No, it's just brass that has a ager applied to it and then is lacquered over. That gives you, like, it prevents it from aging further. And so it stays looking how it is. Aged brass is great because it gets the character and the warmth that unlacquered brass has, but then you don't have to polish it back to shiny brass to then let it age again. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I think it's great. So aged brass is one thing, and then mixed with wrought iron details. Wrought iron is not just black hardware. It has a texture to it, and there's a dimension to it that you don't get with just like a powder coated black hardware. So I don't think we're going in that direction. I think it's going to be authentic, noble materials, but you're going to see a finish on the brass so people don't have to constantly be taking care of it. I mean, just imagine you live in a house, you have dogs and kids, and you know, you're entertaining and you're doing this and you're traveling and you're going other places, who has time to keep up with all of that maintenance? And even if you are one of the few lucky ones that have a housekeeper, well, you're paying for their time. Would you rather them spend that time doing something meaningful, cleaning the floors, taking care of the countertops, like actually making your life easier, or spend it on polishing metal that like is just gonna have to be redone again anyway? I don't think so. Not for me. I'm not the one. Maybe it's for you. And I love that for you. Invite me over. One of my favorite trends to talk about are wood tones because they really define a space for me, and I love wood, and wood is not going anywhere in 2026, right? Like a lot of times people are like, painted kitchens are in. No, we're still on the like wood kitchen trend, and I love that. But right now I am seeing people turn away from white oak. And I love white oak. It's not going anywhere. It's not outdated. It's a little oversaturated at this point. So people are moving away from that really, really light, whitewashed white oak that we've been seeing for a while. And they're gravitating towards something that has a little bit more depth and dimension to it. And I'm happy about that. So if you're looking for cabinetry in your kitchen or floors in your home, let's talk about finishes that have a little bit of a neutral undertone, okay? I don't want something that's yellow, I don't want something that's red, I want very neutral, but we want something that has a little bit, almost of an ashier finish that feels a little lighter. But what I'm also seeing is a mix of two different things together. So you might have a white oak floor, right? To bounce a lot of light into the home so it's a little bit brighter and fresher, but then you might have darker cabinetry in a kitchen. That way you have some more dimension. It's not all very like the same thing everywhere. We have a little bit of personality there, even if it's not something like wallpaper or painting the walls pink or orange or whatever. It has some character there. It feels lived in. It feels a little homier. It has warmth to it. That's why wood is so on trend. Now, painted kitchens are going to have a little bit of a trend because of the same thing I'm talking about, where it's like buying an older home that needs a little bit of TLC maybe. When you have like that speckled granite everyone knows about, it tends to look better and newer and less dated when it's on a painted cabinet. So a lot of people are just gonna paint kitchens that they already have. And those colors are going to be lighter leaning, not specifically like a bright, crisp white, but they're gonna be more like of those mushroomy kind of colors that have a little bit of dimension to them, but are not like super flat. They're going to be those sort of chameleon colors that change in different times of day. So it's hard for me to say like, this is the color of the year. Which, I mean, if you want me to talk about what the color of the year is, we can get into that in another video. Comment down below because I've got some opinions on it, but that's beside the point. But they're going to be more neutral tones that are a little bit more simple, and I'm okay with that. I think that is a very neutral way to go about doing it. But also remember, if you have wood-stained cabinetry, there's always the potential there to refinish it, and that should be looked into first to see if that's possible, if it's doable, and what the cost associated with that is, because that could be a really good way to go. If you have beautiful wood cabinets and you just don't like the color, like refinishing that might be the answer for you, so that we're not just painting over something that's actually really great quality and sacrificing on it. Well, there you have it, everyone. Thanks for spending some time with us today. If you enjoyed it, be sure you check out this video right over here, all about 10 things you should not get sold on in 2026 in your home. Be sure you check it out, and I'm not sure if you were in that video. We will see you over there.